Hello and welcome to the Knit Girls and
the Stranded Podcast.
This is episode 476 for us and
episode 162 for me. This is gonna be fun.
Yeah. We're gonna be kind of on our own types of things. So I'm Laura, also known as Lala.
I'm Amy, also known as Amy Florence.
And I'm Leslie, also known as You Don't Call Me Les.
We're not usually all found in the same place.
I know. Usually we're 4,000 miles apart.
Yeah, we go apart from you two who are all like, what, 20 miles apart?
Well, that's true too.
5.
What, you guys put the date on your podcast, didn't you?
Usually,
what day it is?
yeah. So
It's Tuesday.
the 10th of March. 2020.
It is.
If we sound different, it's because we're more cultured now. We've had tea at the castle.
Yeah.
In Edinburgh.
Not just any afternoon tea as well. Tiny little sandwiches, scones.
And cakes.
Yep.
Macaroons.
Yep.
It was very good.
Leslie had Prosecco.
I did.
Because she's fancy.
I had tea.
I had Diet Coke because I'm basic.
I feel like that's us in a nutshell.
And then we went and looked at the soldiers' latrines. So
Oh, we did? Yeah.
We wrapped that day up real nice.
The prisons.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was good.
It was a fun day.
We did a lot of walking.
Yeah.
I forgot
So
to
much
mention
walking.
that, I mean, Coles are on hills, and I forgot to. I'm a terrible tour guide. Just a heads up if you come on a tour with me.
So we are in Scotland.
Yes.
That's a new thing for Laura and I. Amy lives here now.
I do. It's relatively new for me, which is why I'm using that as an excuse for being a bad tour guide.
So yeah, we'll talk a little bit about what we've done as we go through the podcast. I say we go clockwise, which would mean Laura goes first.
I see how it is.
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Right under the bus.
I just started a row, so you're not going to be able to see much of this, and I don't know the name of it. Hold on.
We're super prepared today.
We don't have show notes. Usually we have show notes.
You guys normally have show notes.
Yeah.
I just...
Yeah, but you also care enough to do a lot of editing for your show. We do not.
It's harder though when you're one person because there's no one to fill the silences and no one, if you can't remember something, you can't bounce off another person.
Yeah, you can't wait for someone else to talk.
So it's just me, endless silence, and maybe sometimes the cat yowling, and I edit that. Sometimes I edit that out.
So I am knitting on the Albuquerque Sunset Shawl. This is by Casa Pink. Oh, look at that.
Cover up everyone's faces. No, we know.
This is a 2-color shawl, and I started it for the second time because I did it wrong the first time. The first smidge bits.
Like 50 yards in, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. So this is what it looks like now. Leslie waited till I was 4 stitches in.
Yep. Because I'm mean that way.
She is. So it's in section 2. This wee little bit down here is section 1. It's just darker.
I feel like you have done quite a lot on that today.
Yeah.
I'm sure a minute ago it was like here.
Yeah, I feel like it was. And so the yarns that I am using, and I'm knitting these on the Jimmy Bean Smart Sticks, 4mm or US size 6. I can say that because it was labeled on there. See,
There you go.
I feel like I'm super cultured.
We're international now.
Yeah. This is actually, both these yarns are from our Portland retreat. I picked them up when we were in Portland. So this is Bumble Birch, Wellspring, which is a superwash merino, and the colorway is Puddle. So that's what their tags look like.
So that's the blue?
Yep, that's the blue. And it's 490 yards, so I have plenty. And then this, just cover
My job is to cover
everything.
faces, so yeah. I don't know if that's working.
This is Republic of Wool, which is one of my favorite indie dyers, in her flossy fingering. And the colorway is Unicorn Breath, and this is 463 yards. So the shawl calls for 400 yards of each, and I have plenty, and it's living in my fall Fat Squirrel bag.
You can't go wrong with Fat Squirrel.
I know, it's got a pigeon and like a cape on the side. So
I like
feel
the
like
skull flowers.
Yes.
They're kind of fun.
So in my life, it's still fall, even though it's
Sort of.
everywhere
It's
else.
always, I'm not wearing my Christmas medallion.
That's true. You have been wearing it for 2 days.
I have a Christmas medallion. I've been wearing it.
If you want it bad enough.
You can make it happen.
And then the other thing that I'm knitting on is another Amy Beth bag.
It's like she doesn't own any other bags.
No.
I feel like Laura doesn't have any project bags.
Nope, none. Absolutely none. This is a sock head hat. And I'm knitting this out of hand spun that I spun out of Inglenook fibers in one of their bats in a braid, and the Squirrel's Pantry colorway.
So the last time we saw this was last week when it was in a skein that you had just finished
Yeah.
winding
So
off.
this is what's left of the skein.
Those colours are amazing.
And this is knit on size 3 needles, and that is 3.25 millimeter. And this is a set of Lickas. I tried to bring interchangeables with me because otherwise I probably would have gone down to 2s, just in case I had to take the needle tips off and put it on the little things that go on the stoppers in case the needles couldn't make it through security.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are my 2 projects on the needles. What are you working on, Amy?
I have 2 projects on needles as well. This is unheard of for me lately. So it turns out when you lose your mojo, you have to bring in help from
From other people.
bring in international help. So I have a half-finished object. Hang on.
Look at you.
Basically, what I have is a huge mess. So I'm
No,
just.
that's pretty much how
You
we
do
operate.
have finished
so.
objects.
I do. I mean, they've seen this sock before, so I'm gonna share the project that I've shared before. This is a vanilla sock. And then I finished this. I started this sock on the plane home from SSK last. I think I flew back in August, so it's been on the needles for a while. This is part of Leslie's Christmas present. So
It's still Christmas in this house.
it's still Christmas here.
We celebrated when we came in, and we're just going to continue.
What you can't see, behind the camera, there's a needle punch reindeer on the mantelpiece and a Christmas stocking.
That's true.
Which I feel like needs to be shown off on the podcast. I don't know, you probably showed it off.
I've shown it on mine.
I'm so behind, I'm a terrible friend. Whatever.
Well, did I? Yes,
did.
I did.
You did.
Because I was like, Amy doesn't watch our podcast anyways. I can show it. She'll never know what she got for
Oh,
Christmas.
man. So, back to my sock, because it's all about me.
Somebody's been taking lessons.
What?
I'm wearing off on Amy.
I did watch the podcast at one point, see? I'm just too fancy for you all now. It's a vanilla sock that I am knitting out of Bumblebee Acres Farm in the Coquette sock base. The colourway is Hermione Granger. I picked this up at the SSK Marketplace last year. It's a top-down sock, just 72 stitches. I'm using 2mm needles, which is a US 0, and I'm doing a modified version of the garter edge heel flap from the Hermione's Everyday Sock pattern by Erica Luda.
Oh, okay.
She has it being an eye of partridge heel,
Yeah.
and I am just doing a slip stitch heel, but I really like the garter edging. I feel like it makes it really easy to pick up stitches for the
Cool.
instep.
Hmm.
So the last time I shared this, I think I had knit maybe just the ribbing and maybe a couple of rows of stockinette on the sock, but I've knit the entire leg of the sock, and I'm on the heel flap. So there is a chance that Leslie will get these socks
Yay!
before. I mean, otherwise they'll go in the post. I mean, or you can have them
Or,
this Christmas.
yeah.
Or you can just bring
Bring them to SSK.
Whatever. So those of you who have been asking me if I'm going to SSK, spoiler alert, I'm going to SSK, all being well with like international travel. So that is that, still on the heel flap. And the second thing that I'm working on is a new cast on.
I love these.
So pretty.
Decided that I needed new fingerless mitts after mine started to unravel. I had some shop bought ones that started to unravel. So I cast on the, and this will be pronounced wrong, the Farmore pattern by Skein Deer Knits. And I am finished one mitten to leave.
So pretty. I like the colors that you chose a lot.
I basically stole the colours from the pattern and just used ones that I had that was similar, but it was that'll make them all grey.
I mean,
But I'm really enjoying earth tones right now. So I have all of my yarn, I think, is in my lap. I have some, this is being knit out of leftovers, it's all from stash, so I get to feel super virtuous about
I
it.
love some stash.
I have leftover Ralma Phenol PT2. I think this was, I don't know the colourway of this, I think it was leftover from the Marius sweater that I knit a couple of years ago, the contrast for the yoke. I have some Jamieson and Smith 2-ply jumper weight in this really nice kind of scummy green colour that I also have been very careful not to, I can see the ball band from here. but I'm not going to get up because I'll trip over all of the things. But if I'm organised, I might put the colourway on the screen.
Look at you with your
It won't be on
editing.
ours. We don't do that much editing.
Well, there you go. They have, proper jobs and real lives to
Eh.
live.
Sure, we'll go with that.
I just have a cat to entertain. That's not even mine. And this is a naturally dyed ball of Jameson and Smith 2-ply jump weight that I picked up at a local craft fair a couple of years ago. So I'm on the second mitt. It's somewhere here.
There you go.
There we go.
I am shocked that the cat did not come over
I
for
mean,
that.
She's too busy sleeping.
Not my cat is sleeping on her chair in a nest. She's cross because the blanket that's normally on her chair is currently on the back of the sofa. So I had to make her a makeshift nest out of a scarf.
I mean, had to.
I mean, if that was, she would just get in the way. So the first colour repeat is done on the second mitt.
Yay!
So there's a chance these will be finished while the weather is still cold. So that is what I am working on this week.
Cool.
What about you?
So I only brought 2 things to Scotland with me to knit on. One of them is shadow lines, which I've talked about before. I don't have the paper pattern here. It's somewhere.
It's disappeared into the ether.
And this is knit out of Triskelion yarns in the Olwen fine base.
Would you like a hand, my friend?
Thank you. And so I've just got a couple more stripes to do, and then I take off on one side and do a pattern, and then come back and do the other
So
side. Suzanne Summer,
There you go.
Oh, she did the shrug that you made.
She does a lot of brioche.
She just did a larger size on some
Yes,
of her patterns.
I saw that.
Which is super awesome.
I think I got an updated copy of the Shisui in my Ravelry inbox.
So I'm knitting these. The colorways are, the red is my Foxy Darling, and then the purple is Damson, or it's the other way. I don't remember which is which. I don't know what a damson is.
It's a fruit, I think.
What color is the fruit?
Oh, I don't know.
I was going to say that.
No.
Well, it's one of those two.
You make jam out of
colours.
damsons. You can get damson jam.
And this is living in a Chicken Boots double zip double.
Is it double? I think it
remember
was.
which. It's one of those.
She doesn't make project bags
Right.
anymore.
That's true.
But she does sell patterns for some of her bags
She
online.
does. So that's one thing. I'm knitting that on a US size 6, which is a 4mm, and then the other I'm knitting on a US size 5, which is a 3.75mm, and this is, the pattern is called Starboard Rock, and I don't have the printed paper, but it's a sort of a fingering weight version of a cross between a boxy and a weekender. So it's got a little bit of rib detail at the bottom and a little bit of that same detail up here across the chest and shoulders. I'm knitting this out of Stranded Dye Works in the Oasis base. Is it still called Oasis?
It's just called Merino
Okay.
nylon now.
And it's in the Ice Skating Party colorway. This was a birthday gift last year. I think last year.
I feel like
Might
2
have been the
years
year
It
ago.
might have been the year before. Okay. So, but yeah, it's one that I've been wanting to do a sweater out of for a while. The pattern actually has you knit it in 2 pieces, so like the front and the back are identical up to the arms. But I was not having any of that. So I am doing it in the round, but at the sides I'm carrying up a slip stitch. So it looks like it's got sort of a fake join there. Just to give it a little bit of detail.
Got
under
that
the arms.
Elizabeth Zimmerman fake seam
Yes,
going on.
that. So that is living in my Christmas gift, which is a Heidenhammer waxed canvas personalized bag. And it has an expletive on the handle, so I'll refrain from showing it to you. But it's perfect. I've been using it ever since I got it a few days ago. It sits up so nicely on its own with no help. It doesn't collapse on itself. So
Yep.
I really love
She's
these.
got really nice bags.
And she has Heidenhammer. It's Fanula, but it's new.
Yeah,
Okay.
new Fanula.
She has several different options for closures and stuff, and this is the one I like. She has buckle one as well. This one's just like a
Stud fast.
yeah.
Yep.
Just you poke it through. Yeah, I
That's
know.
what she said.
So I'm alternating every 2 rows because it's a hand dye, so you should always alternate. And that's it. That's all that I'm working on.
Anyway,
Finished objects.
Whatever.
finished objects. I finished a giant
Why,
sock
Laura,
head
that
hat.
looks like a sock head.
So this is my knitting on the plane. To come to Scotland, I finished a whole hat on the plane.
Except the decreases.
Yes,
Yeah.
except for the top decreases because I didn't bring double points, so I had to borrow some from Amy. This was the medium size, so the 144 stitch count. And I am knitting this on a size 3, and it does call for 2.5, but it is still pretty big.
Pretty large and loose.
So we're gonna try to felt it when we get home. And my top loader. It is a Falkland, 50% Falkland, 25% silk, 25%, no, that's wrong. 50% gray Shetland, 25% Falkland, 25% silk. So it should felt, and because it's, when you felt an item, usually it shrinks up before it shrinks sideways.
Length instead of width.
Yeah. But this it's a sock head, so it's got so much extra width that I'm not super worried about it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to felt it up a little bit and see how it goes. It's kind of a reverse autumnal rainbow.
It's amazing.
And I think the other one's going to be the opposite. So yeah.
I'm hoping the other one turns out wrong so I get to have it. I don't think it's going to happen, sadly.
I think we
but-
tried it on and it was fitting okay last night.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I didn't see that. Damn it. I could have sabotaged it in the
You
night.
went to bed to read,
Did.
so you missed it all.
I missed all the fun.
Mm.
Have you finished anything? Why didn't you finish anything on the plane, Leslie? What were you doing?
I
on the plane?
don't really knit on planes.
Fair.
I did finish something, and I brought it to Amy as a gift. So,
Way to make me look bad for not finishing it.
and also I only started it, like I finished and started it in like 2 days. So
Because it's sewing.
it is sewing. Now don't discount it. The
No.
binding was
Doesn't
a
count.
pain. So Sarami, is that how you say it? Sarami?
Mhm.
Okay. Chicken Boots, formerly of Chicken Boots. Now she has a great channel on YouTube. It's called
So Live. And
So,
she
like
live sews
SBW.
stuff.
Yeah, so she takes commercial or indie garment patterns, primarily garment patterns, and she cuts stuff ahead of time. But aside from that, she sews everything live.
Yeah.
So
and
you
that's
can
super
sort of
cool.
see how things go together. And she's also can give you tips on, it says to do this, but for me, it works better if I do this. Like,
Yeah.
it's
That's cool.
it's very handy, and she's very relatable. So if you're
She's super sweet.
curious about garment sewing, or you are a garment sewer but you're just looking to see, some new and interesting patterns, you might check out Sarami on So Live. But she used to be Chicken Boots, and as Chicken Boots, she made lots of project bags. And one of the bags that she made, I don't remember what it was called, like it wasn't zip double.
It wasn't, it was like a bucket bag
Yeah.
or something.
But it was basically just sort of like a big open bag. So this one is for Amy because it's got selfie cats. I cannot remember where I got the fabric, but it was called Selfie Cats. So feel free to
Look
look
at your
for it.
binding, looks very nice.
Thank you. The binding was a pain, but it did come out looking nice. So it's got like a front, like a document pocket. It's got a little elastic pocket.
An inside
It's
pockets,
got
right?
a flat bottom, and then the inside fabric is contrasting. So it's a Knit Picks fabric. It's got cats, or not Knit Picks. What is it? Connecting Threads. It's the same company. It's all.
Oh, I didn't realize that. There you go.
And so it's got a vinyl divider, and then this here is also a pocket. I'd never sewn with vinyl before, but just like her So Live, she does a whole video on exactly how the pieces go together. It's only like $14, and that's for the pattern and for the video. And she gives you tips on, like, if you've never sewn with vinyl, this is a good way to do it so it doesn't mess up your
Machine.
presser foot.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times it'll get stuck on your presser foot. But she also puts the pattern together in a way where you don't have to have the presser foot on the vinyl at any point in time. There's always a layer between it. So that's super helpful. Also, she sews like a mad woman, like so
She did
fast.
commercial sewing.
She did
for
production
so long.
sewing
Yeah.
for so
That's really
long.
cool.
It's like she did it in the video from start to finish. Like she had already had her stuff cut, but from start to finish, I think it was like 50 minutes or something. And I was
Wow.
like, okay, I could do that this evening.
I mean, 2 days though, it's not bad.
It's not
No.
bad. And really, the bulk of what took so long is when you put the binding on, you're essentially, you bind first these two big outside pieces and the bottom, which that's fine, it's no problem. But then you have to bind all this together at the same time.
Yeah.
And so you sort of have to wrestle it around in your machine. But, I mean, this is proof. It got wrestled all around in my machine and it sits perfectly. Like, there's no
Yeah.
And it
You did a good
traveled
job.
a long way to
permanent
get
creases.
here.
Yeah. It folded up really well. So, again, I can't remember what it's called, but I'll link it in the show notes. Our show notes for the Knit Girls are always found on our website at TheKnitGirls with 3Ls.com. What are yours?
So mine will be in the description box, which you can find right down there.
But not on the Knit Girls video.
No.
On the Stranded video.
There you go.
So, okay, so the good thing's blinking at you
Oh,
about a battery.
could have changed the battery.
Better now than when you're in the middle of talking.
I mean, that's true. Okay, so spinning, I have 2 finished, well, they're not finished, they still need a bath, but I still have 2 skeins of spinning to share with you.
Yay!
Yay! This first one I finished ages ago, but just didn't get around to winding it off the bobbin, and I thought it might need some extra twist adding to it, but we decided it was fine. I got Laura to look at it because Laura knows all of the things.
It might lose some twist in the bath too, so it might still, you might want to rethink it afterwards.
Yeah.
But I think it's fine.
I'm kind of ready for it to be done.
But it's just what it is.
It's done.
But you do lose 10% of your twist in a bath, usually.
Laura can only see, I mean, you can only see, I know you're big.
Oh,
You
sorry.
see half of Laura's face.
I mean, that's all you really need, right?
Laura's fixing stuff. So,
I messed up on my shawl, so I'm working
look
back.
at my yarn mess. It's like I just made it into a heap. Hang on, let me-
There you go. Hopefully I put enough size on it.
Oh, I'm sure it's fine. It feels really nice, like pre-washing. It feels really good. So
Good.
It'll probably be really slack, but whatever.
So this is the SSK from
This is
2018.
yes, it is. This is the SSK fibre from 2018. This is hip strings. I know it was called Oasis, but I don't know what the blend is.
Merino silk.
I don't remember.
Merino silk sparkle, I think.
Yeah, I think it's like got a couple of maybe some extra fine merino or ultra fine merino
Yeah.
and some. I remember merino being written on the tag a couple of times. So this is the 3rd skein of this fibre that I have spun. I had 15 ounces.
Yep.
Yeah, it was
They
5
came in
ounce
5
bags.
ounce
Yeah.
bags. Yep.
And I have spun 3 different 3-plies. Let me just tie this back up. I should have brought the other ones to share, but I'll share them out. When this one's been washed, I'll share them all.
You can knit samples.
Yeah.
Like little swatches.
Yeah.
And you can see the difference.
So this is a worsted spun traditional 3-ply. And I've already spun a woolen spun traditional 3-ply and a worsted spun chain ply. So I'm gonna, I'll knit up a little sample or something. Or maybe I feel like making hats out of all 3 of them might be a bit ambitious at the rate my knitting is at the moment. But
House would be cool.
that's true. So I have this and I got 237 yards of a 3-ply. So it's like a worsted weight, we decided, didn't we? Yep. And then I have this little skein of some spindles and stitches roll-ags that I spun up on the, both of these were spun on the Ashford E-Spinner 3. This was spun when I had a broken foot, which is why it was spun on the E-Spinner, because I could sit with my foot up. And this was spun on the E-Spinner because I was too lazy to get the mattress out. So this is
Fair.
the gingerbread roll-ags. So these are Christmas roll-ags from Spindles and Stitches, and these are a chain ply. And I got 57 yards, 53 yards of a chain ply. No idea what it's going to become. Probably a festive baby hat, because that's basically all I use my hand spun for. So that's 2. I have 2 knitting projects and 2 spinning projects. This is the most content I've produced in a while.
That's awesome though.
Yeah.
Right? Laura, you've been doing things.
I have been doing things. So I had not tried an Ashford E-Spinner 3 before. I've tried the 2 or the 1 in the past. So Amy let me play with hers, and this was some unknown bat.
It's either Spin City or Siobhan's Crafts. I think it's Siobhan's Crafts, who's a UK vendor.
It is lots and lots of different fibers. I could tell just by spinning it there was some soy silk, some linen or flax, some other silk, some sparkle, some sari silk bits, some kind of wool. So it had a lot of different fibers, and it was an art yarn bat. And art yarn bats typically are not smooth. So it's a little bit of
Oh, there we go. I think.
lumpy, thick and thin in parts, because some fibers don't draft the same as other fibers. And it is 125 yards of a 2-ply. I spun it worsted, so I did knock out a good bit of air, which is not something I typically do with bats, but with an e-spinner, I find that the take-up, even on Scotch tension e-spinner, doesn't lend itself to long draw real well for me.
I would agree with that. It's more frustrating on an electric wheel than it is on a.
Don't think I've ever
Treadle
tried to
wheel.
long draw on an e-wheel before.
It's
It has to
possible,
do with
but-
your foot speed. Like it's something you don't think about when you're treadling your take up. You just let your feet kind of
Yeah.
do their thing, but you can't do there's no real control that allows it to. I find double drive actually for me is more successful when it comes to long draw. Anyway, but yeah, and that is yours.
Oh.
Should I put it in your baby hat pile?
Thank you. So many baby hats are going to be happening.
I think that's a good baby hat colorway.
Yeah,
actually.
it is. It's really fun. It's really fun.
It's definitely more of a worsted weight as well.
Yeah. Make a nice, quite a quick baby hat.
Or 2.
Yeah.
So it was 125 yards?
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. And we bought some fishing line and some little hair ties, so we're going to experiment on.
Tension.
Switching the tension on your wheel. Yeah.
Laura's been tacking the wheel for me because it was making a banging noise.
And it was the flyer. So the way that I first tech wheels is I make sure everything's oiled. So we took everything apart, we oiled it, we put it back together. It was still making the noise. I made sure that the bobbin was pushed all the way back, and if I was using a wheel that had a maiden that moved, the maiden would be straight up.
Mm-hmm.
This one does not have a mobile maiden. You just kind of, yeah. You just kind of smoosh it down in. And then it was still making the noise, so we took off the bobbin and just ran it with the flyer, and it was still making the noise. And so then we took off the flyer and the noise stopped. So that made me think that the flyer might be slightly unbalanced. So on most wheels, they have hooks on both sides to make the flyer balanced. So we removed a hook on one side, and that stopped it for the most part. So it's more balanced.
Yeah.
now.
In my experience, the Ashford e-spinner has always made some kind of noise, depending. Sometimes it's a banging, sometimes it's a high-pitched kind of squealing. So it's quite nice to be able to solve one of those problems. So I'm
Just a
happy with that.
smidge.
I need to put you on speed dial for things like that.
I have you on speed dial for sock machines, so I
There
think
we
we're
go.
even on
We
that.
can, we can trade on that one. Yeah, I've been cranking sock tubes today,
Yeah.
so that's been fun. Yeah, I think that's everything I've got to.
Yeah, we've been reading, well, I've been listening to some ebooks. I've been listening to Patricia Briggs because the new Mercy Thompson book comes out in a couple days, so I'm trying to catch up before then. What have y'all been reading or listening to?
I don't remember names, so I'll put it in the next episode.
Okay.
I've been re-listening to My Dad Wrote a Porno. I find it very distracting for like airport,
Yes.
sitting in airports or being on a plane, so it's good for that. I've been playing Mario Odyssey on my
She can turn
Switch.
into a dinosaur.
I can become a T-Rex in Super Mario Odyssey.
Well,
so,
hey, who wouldn't
yeah,
want to be
don't
a
want to
T-Rex?
brag or anything, but,
And a fish.
and I can be several different things. Yeah.
Huh.
Um,
So fancy.
yeah. But yeah, I downloaded Terminus, which is a book by Peter Klein, who's one of my absolute favorite science fiction authors. But I haven't felt like starting it yet, so maybe on the way back. We'll see.
Sometimes I have to be in the mood to read certain things.
Like I want to be able to pay attention to it because I really love this guy as an author, and I've heard good things about this book so far. So we'll see.
Yeah, I usually save the books that I wait to come out, like my favorite authors. I save them for a while until I'm like, not distracted or anything.
Yeah.
I've read a fair bit over the last couple of weeks, I think. I can't remember all of the titles. I've read all but one of the books I borrowed from my local library. A couple were
local library.
Yes! Join your library, people. 3 books. How can you not get on board with
Already
that?
paying for it in taxes.
There you go. I read a couple of Kelly Armstrong's young adult thriller novels. One was Aftermath, which was pretty good. It was about like the aftermath of a high school shooting that wasn't quite as the police made it out to be.
Did it switch points of view? Because
It
I
did
find a
switch.
lot of those books switch points of view.
Yes, there were 2
continuously.
characters in.
I don't mind it when it's only a couple of characters.
Yeah.
When it's a lot, I find it harder to.
When I read Game of Thrones,
Yeah.
it switched, and I would always lose track of who was who. But yeah, that was just 2 characters, and then I read Missing, also by Kelly Armstrong, which I finished this morning. Didn't like that one quite as much. That was just one point of view, but it was kind of slow for me. And I read another book by Sue Wallman. Can't remember the names of the titles. I'll talk about them in my next episode properly, but I will leave a link. If you're watching this on my YouTube channel, I'll leave a link to my Goodreads account in the description box.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
So you can see what I've been reading.
We talked about this a few weeks ago, but are you a book abandoner? If you're like 20 pages in and it's just not grabbing you, like how do you decide if you're going to keep reading a book?
I don't mind not finishing things. Like if it's not my cup of tea, if I don't pay enough attention when I like either borrow it or buy it, and I'm like, actually, this isn't kind of, if it's too, because I'm not really into heavily fantasy or science fiction novels because I find it quite hard to keep track. So if it's too kind of science fiction-y, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just pull this one. Sometimes I will borrow books from the library and not forget, but just not get around to reading them. So I will just take them back and I'll re-borrow them at a later date. So I try and have like I'll set myself like a book limit. I'll be like, you can borrow 3 books from the library because you get them for 3 weeks from my library.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I'll read those and I'll take them back. But this last time I found 5 and I had to stop myself. I was like, right, okay, this is enough because.
Can you renew your books online?
Yes.
This weekend? Okay.
Yeah, mine was supposed to go back on the 9th, but I renewed them all. So I didn't have to go to the library this week. So yeah.
So you just try to be more selective about the books that you choose.
I normally read. It's taken a long time for me to get into Goodreads, but now I'm using that. I
like Goodreads.
Yeah,
I use Goodreads.
It's like Ravelry for books.
Yeah.
There are pros and cons to it. Like,
for sure.
Yeah, there are pros and cons, but
I like that it's tied to Amazon because that's how I get most of my books.
Yeah, I do not like that it's time to end.
But yeah, you can decide like when you start reading a book, it pops up and it's like, do you want to sync this to Goodreads? And as long as it's not like something I would be ashamed of reading, then I'm like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, there are a couple of books.
But I'm also not a public school teacher, so I don't have to be as careful.
Yeah, that's fair.
So what else? What stuff have we been doing since we got here?
We went to the castle.
We did. We went to Edinburgh Castle.
And we went to the Ginger Twist.
Oh, yeah, we went to the Ginger Twist studio.
Yes.
You guys bought some yarn.
Yep.
Yes. And then there was Knit Night.
Yeah.
Yep.
And let's see, what else have we done? We're planning on.
We've gone to the beach one
we
day.
went to the beach.
Yeah.
And a coffee shop.
Yeah.
We tried to go for fish and chips today, but
even though it said on the website that it was open,
it was not.
Spoiler alert, it was closed.
So
fish and chips is on Laura's bucket list.
It is.
We've crossed off afternoon tea and a castle. So
yeah, that's the last thing on my bucket list.
But I think we might go to a country pub tomorrow, and then we'll probably have fish and chips for Laura there. and sticky toffee pudding for me, which is my favourite thing of all time. So
There you go.
so I make restaurant.
We went
choices.
grocery shopping. Which
We
was fun.
did go grocery shopping,
Yes.
and I love going grocery shopping in America. So even though I'm always hurried up by people like Laura, who don't understand that I need to spend 10 minutes looking at washing machines in Costco.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I do, trust me. So that was kind of fun. There was a moment of panic where I thought the grocery store was out of Diet Coke.
Diet Coke.
I don't know how this is around the world at the moment, but there's lots of different things that people are stockpiling and panic buying
Yes.
because of the coronavirus. And friends of mine had been down in England had been like, there's no toilet paper, there's no soap, there's no hand sanitizer, there's no tissues, stuff like that. And we were in the grocery store, and they normally have 30 packs of Diet Coke. Now I'm going to get a load of messages from people telling me that Diet Coke is going to kill me.
Yeah.
But I know that, so you don't need to tell me.
She's made that decision, so just let it ride.
There you go, you got to die something. And it's coronavirus or Diet Coke. I don't know. And they were completely out of 30 packs of Diet Coke, and I must have stood in the aisle for about 30 seconds, just
worried.
speechless. It's like, I'm gonna have to drink regular Coke. This is terrible. Or Coke Zero. So I stockpiled little. I bought 3 packets of 8 Diet Coke, and then on the way out of the store, they had a huge mountain
Of 30 cans.
So it's
They were
fine.
just on display.
It's fine. You know? I mean, you don't need to send me Diet Coke. Things aren't that bad yet. So there we go. Yeah, I don't know what we've got planned for the rest of the week. I don't know.
Fabric shopping for me at some point.
Yeah, I'm going to try and find some fabric
Just
stores
in,
for last
just
week.
in Edinburgh. It's only
Yep.
20-30 minute drive.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
so
we can make that happen.
and we're going to take a train ride tomorrow somewhere, we think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, mostly we're just
And then we leave Saturday morning. So
Yeah.
really we only have, 3 days
3
left?
days.
Yeah.
So, and the camera's blinking at us, telling us it's about to die. So I
Third time
Yep.
that that's happened.
think that that's a good sign for us to wrap up. So, from Scotland, thank you for watching.
Yeah.
And
Yes. Thank you guys for visiting.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, we've been meaning to come to England, but then you moved, so this made it easier.
I mean,
Yeah.
I say that Australia was always number 1 on your
Yeah.
list of places to go.
It's still for me.
And I was like, okay, I understand they have baby wombats in Australia.
I mean,
I do.
I adore you, but
I'm a real
I
person.
can't cuddle you and put you in my bra.
I mean, you
so-
can cuddle me, but I don't know if I'm going to fit in your bra. So there's an experiment we can try next time.
Oh my.
Next fail along.
Yeah, there we go. Well, you guys have a lovely week, and
Yes.
we'll talk to you next time.
Bye.
Bye.